Have you ever wondered why vulnerability mitigation is such a critical aspect of pen testing? Well, it's a lot like a game of chess. You're always trying to stay one step ahead of your opponent, anticipating their moves, and planning your defense strategy. In the realm of cybersecurity, that opponent is a potential cyber attacker, and the game board is your network. The significance of vulnerability mitigation in pen testing is immense. It's all about identifying the weak spots in your network, the chinks in your armor, and then taking steps to strengthen those areas. If vulnerabilities are not properly addressed, it's like leaving your front door wide open for anyone to walk in. And the potential risks and damages, they can be catastrophic. From financial loss, data breaches, to reputational damage, the consequences of not taking vulnerability mitigation seriously can be severe. Indeed, the role of vulnerability mitigation in pen testing is not something to be overlooked. But before we dive into mitigation strategies, it's important to understand what vulnerabilities are. In the context of cybersecurity, vulnerabilities are the weak spots, the chinks in the armor of our digital defenses. They are the small, often overlooked elements in our systems that can and often do provide an opportunity for hackers to infiltrate and wreak havoc. Picture a fortress with a hidden, unguarded back door. In the cyber world, that's a vulnerability. A hacker, like a cunning invader, will always look for these back doors, these weak points to exploit, and the consequences, they can be disastrous. Information theft, disrupted operations, financial loss, and damaged reputations are just a few. Each vulnerability is a potential entry point for an attack, and each attack can have significant implications, not just for the targeted organization, but for individuals and other interconnected systems as well. With this understanding, the importance of vulnerability mitigation becomes even more apparent. Now that we know what vulnerabilities are, how do we go about mitigating them in pen testing? The process of vulnerability mitigation in pen testing is not a one-shot deal. It's a meticulous and continuous process that involves identifying vulnerabilities, assessing the risks, and implementing effective strategies for mitigation. Let's start with the first step: identifying vulnerabilities. It's like being a detective in the world of cybersecurity. You're searching for weak points in the system, the chinks in the armor. This can be done using various techniques such as scanning, penetration testing, and threat modeling. You're looking for anything from software bugs, misconfigurations, to outdated systems. Remember, the aim is not to exploit, but to discover and document these potential entry points for attackers. The second step is assessing the risks. Once the vulnerabilities have been identified, it's time to determine their potential impact. How severe could the damage be if they were exploited? To what extent could they compromise the system's integrity, confidentiality, and availability? This is done by considering factors such as the value of the information at risk, the potential for financial loss, and the probability of an attack. The aim here is to prioritize which vulnerabilities need immediate attention and which can be dealt with later. Finally, we move on to the mitigation strategies. This is where we take action to reduce the risks identified. Strategies could range from patching up software, changing configurations, updating systems, to even changing business processes. It's about fixing the discovered vulnerabilities while causing minimal disruption to the system's operations. In some cases, when a fix is not immediately available, you may need to implement compensating controls to manage the risk. These could be additional security measures like firewalls or intrusion detection systems. It's important to remember that vulnerability mitigation is not a one-time task. It's an ongoing process that requires regular reviews and updates. This continual vigilance is what keeps the system secure and resilient. This step-by-step process ensures that every vulnerability is properly addressed, reducing the potential for exploitation. Now, let's delve deeper into the key strategies used in vulnerability mitigation. 3 of the most effective approaches are patch management, intrusion detection systems, and firewall configurations. Let's start with patch management. This is a crucial strategy that involves the regular updating and patching of software applications and systems. The process helps fix vulnerabilities that could be exploited by cybercriminals. Think of it as a game of cat and mouse. Developers find and fix vulnerabilities, and hackers look for new ones. Staying up to date with these patches helps you stay one step ahead. Next, we have intrusion detection systems, or IDS. These systems monitor network traffic for suspicious activity and issue alerts when such activity is detected. Imagine a burglar alarm for your network, except instead of burglars, it's looking for signs of cyber attacks. IDS can be a powerful tool in your vulnerability mitigation arsenal, as they provide real-time analysis and can identify both known and unknown threats. Lastly, let's talk about firewall configurations. A firewall acts as a gatekeeper between your network and the outside world. It filters incoming and outgoing traffic based on predetermined rules, blocking potentially harmful data from entering the network. A well-configured firewall is like a bouncer at a club, only letting in the traffic you want and turning away the rest. Each of these strategies comes with its own range of benefits. Patch management keeps your systems up to date and resistant to known vulnerabilities. Intrusion detection systems provide real-time threat analysis, helping you respond to threats swiftly. And a well-configured firewall acts as your first line of defense, blocking harmful traffic before it can enter your network. Remember, the goal of vulnerability mitigation is not to completely eliminate all vulnerabilities. That would be an impossible task. Instead, the aim is to manage and reduce these vulnerabilities to an acceptable level, making it harder for cybercriminals to exploit them. Applying these strategies effectively can significantly reduce the chances of a successful cyber attack. As we have seen, vulnerability mitigation in pen testing is a multi-step process that involves understanding, identification, assessment, and strategic action. We kicked things off with a discussion on the importance of vulnerability mitigation, highlighting how it forms the backbone of effective pen testing. This was followed by a deep dive into understanding vulnerabilities, their types, and how they can be exploited. Then, we traversed the step-by-step process of vulnerability mitigation in pen testing. Each stage, from identification to assessment and strategic action, is crucial to this process. We also explored key strategies such as risk-based prioritization, patch management, and periodic reassessment to ensure the effectiveness of the mitigation efforts. Remember, vulnerability mitigation is not a one-off task, but a continuous cycle of understanding, identifying, assessing, and mitigating vulnerabilities. The journey to bolstering our cybersecurity defenses is ongoing. By understanding and applying these principles, we can significantly bolster our cybersecurity defenses and make the digital world a safer place.